Welcome everyone to my Tuesday chess stream here on lichess and Twitch. My name is William Paschall. I'm an international master based in Budapest, Hungary. I'm from the United States originally, but living here in Budapest since 2004. It is 10 a.m. Central European time and time to get started. I play blitz and classical chess with commentary and chat and banter here on lichess and Twitch, Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 12:30, so 2.5 hours of blitz and classical chess. We have challenges right away from Paschall, who has become a regular here, and Constant Change, who has played quite a bit on the stream. Paschall, welcome, and Constant Change. Welcome everybody to the Twitch chat. Looks like the stream is up and running. We have I nearly thought I had some dropped frames. I'll have to keep an eye on it. It looks like it's a little bit of lag with my connection, but it might be okay. Let me know quickly if we have any kind of problem with the stream lagging behind. I might not notice while I'm playing because I have the stream and the broadcasting software set up on my other monitor. So sometimes I don't notice right away if we have some kind of technical problem. But another challenge here from, well, this I can't really pronounce. It looks like wizard. It looks like worse wizard. But I don't think that's what he's trying to write there. Anyway, W-O-R, war. The war wizard is challenging me to 8-3. So guys, if you want to play, we'll accept any challenges between 5 and 8 minutes with a small increment. If you do make it a faster challenge, like 5 minutes, you can bump up the increment to 5 seconds rather than 3. But in general, 3 seconds is enough. So we're going to get started in a second. Good morning. The stream looks fine. I had a little bit of a red flag there, but it seems to be okay. So let me get a sip of coffee and we're going to get started. I do the stream Monday through Friday. On Sundays, I have a simul, which I'll be doing every week. We had our first one for a month on Sunday. There were several good games that I'm going to publish in a video review. Today or tomorrow it will be finished. I did start to work on it, but it takes a while to produce. You can check out my video, my independent videos, and all the videos of the streams that I do. Sorry for the delay in getting up the last ones. We've got the simul from Sunday up and yesterday's. You can always check them out on Twitch. They're always saved on Twitch if there's a delay in me putting them up on YouTube, but they are up on YouTube as well. So this, for example, will be up later today or tomorrow if you want to see this stream that you're watching now later on. All right, we're going to get started with Paschall. Tomorrow, by the way, is Wednesday, and on Wednesdays I do a special stream where basically I'm playing openings I don't normally play. So I call it Weird Wednesday. We play unusual openings. By that I mean slightly offbeat openings, stuff I don't normally play, gambits, and other fun stuff. So Wednesday is a little bit of a light-hearted event. All right, interesting. So d4, knight f6, c4, c5. I have played the English a lot in my life. I'm not a big fan of this variation with knight f3, c takes d, knight takes d4, e5. That's a good gambit for black, so I almost always play d5 here. And Paschall plays the Benko, which is cool. We haven't had very many Benko players play against us with black, so yeah, the camera is a little laggy, unfortunately. I have to well, I have to get like I don't know what I have to do. Faster machine, probably, to avoid having lag problems with the video, but we do the best we can for now. Knight to c3, I decided to play this. Oftentimes I play b6. It's just, this is a kind of romantic variation. It's called the Zaitsev, or, now, this is an interesting moment. The Zaitsev, or Nescafe Frapp attack, as called by Graham Burgess. This it's a pretty risky line, but d6 isn't really great for black, so this kind of lets white off the hook. He's supposed to take on b5. Also possible is queen a5, which Gennady Segalchik played against me and lost in a miniature. But d6 is considered to be like a kind of inaccurate move order that gives white an easy game. Although in practice, I haven't found it that easy to like blow black away. I've tried to just blow black out of the water in these variations, pretending it's like a flick knife variation of the Benoni or something. But I don't know that it's really best to go totally postal. I recall some games where I just tried to annihilate black with f4 and e5. I don't know that that's really... I'm up a pawn here, and you know, having played this in the past, this f4 type of idea, it seems like it's a little bit much. The position just reminds me of like a kind of 4 pawns attack. Actually, I guess this, come to think of it, may transpose to it might transpose to a 4 pawns attack with b5 for black. Yerode, good to see you. Thanks for the online wiki. Thanks for the hosting. Stream is okay, but wait a few seconds before stopping Twitch. I will have to do that. So, how do we feel like playing this today? If I play f3, it doesn't seem right. I'm waiting a lot of time. That's good grammar. Actually, I never really studied this. It's just not considered to be great. You could always play b6. Let's play b6. I'm just feeling lazy. It's the first game of the stream. This is low maintenance. I'm transposing back into another variation that I play. But critical would be to try to hold on to that pawn, probably. Anyway, at least I know where I'm at here. I haven't honestly... really had good results in these few games that I played where I tried to do that. Now, knight on bd7. Oh, man. I'm just on my own here. Alright. I don't know. I feel very regretful about several things here. First of all, I didn't try to keep the pawn. Now after knight bd7, I played bishop d3. Blue Crow says b6, I like e6. How did we never have a Benko before, Blue Crow? I'm just going to play. I don't know that this is a theoretical position. I guess it is. But knight bd7 and knight takes b6. I suppose white can play like a4, a5 and try to gain space on the queen side. You know, if this was a Benoni, I would be worried about bishop g4 trading some pieces, but somehow that doesn't really look right to me. Anyway, bishop d7. The knight kind of gets in the way on b6 a bit. Black would like to get counterplay along the b file. I haven't played d4 against Blue Crow, apparently. Top of the morning. Yeah, but taking b6 with his queen leads to like the main variation of this line, and then the knight goes from d2 to c4. I'm very familiar with those positions. It's much more common and considered more standard to take with b6 with the queen. Take on b6 with the queen. Absolutely. The knight takes kind of confused me a little bit. Yeah, here I'm wondering, what can I do? I mean, I don't really have any choices. He does trade a pair of pieces relieving the cramped nature of his position. He's also not letting me play like knight d4, knight c6, which would be strategically crushing. But this is a fairly fast game, so I don't have time to do the in-depth commentary that I tend to do in the 7 and 8 minute games. Wow, I'm surprised by that though. Do you have a concrete idea here? Really inviting me to do something like knight d4, but maybe it's better to delay that. Develop some more. I think you helped me. You know, I don't have to worry about knight to g4. Obviously g4 looks pretty weakening. This looks risky to me for black. I don't think I like this for black. Maybe my bishop would be better on f1, protecting my king's side in the event of something like knight f4. I could play queen d2 here, which is kind of standard to play bishop h6. Wow. He opts for the bishop h6. That's pretty bizarre. Alright. Site update in progress. Quite a combative approach from black. It's like my neighbor hasn't been constructing anything in a while, but it looks like some faint banging downstairs. Wow, bishop h6. Quite the combative idea. Why didn't I play queen d2? You know what? It's never too late. It's never too late to have fun. Rockin' Eagle says, lichess seems slow again. Well, there was a reset or, you know, site update going on. But now it's kind of scaring me. It looks like it's like network error. It's just not processing. So I don't know what's going on. We may not be playing. Maybe this game is in a limbo state. Network error reconnecting. Yet the time is running. There's been no... Normally it says like you get an extra 15 seconds. Blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's a serious error here. I don't know if Blue Crow can even move or not. Blue Crow, can you move? Are you just like disconnected? Maybe I should try to refresh the screen. Yeah, it's down. I thought so. Okay, well hopefully this won't last long. I don't want to abandon lichess for another chess site. Just for a short outage. Let's take a few minutes, or a minute to, let's take a minute to discuss what happened here, okay? First of all, I played the Zaitsev variation with knight to c3 against the Benko. Then, alright, now never mind, we're back to the game. That was quick. You gotta be ready. Seriously, they can just do that? Like, what if you go to the other room to like get a coffee because you think the site is down and you're just instantly brought back? Blue Crow is like in the bathroom or something. Yeah, they should, I don't know, adjudicate the game or something if they're going to do... Is this for real? Alright. So, my regrets for playing queen d2 were well founded. Yeah, but my main plan isn't to play bishop h6. I can play either knight to d4 or, I guess, bishop d4. No more bishop h6. Played knight f6, so... I mean, objectively... e5 looks playable. My pawn gets a bit weak. There are other ways to do this. Skin this cat. A5. I think we're going to stop it there. A4 is a bit too much space, sir. We'll keep you on A5. And there's some surveillance of that pawn. I could allow the pawn to advance to A4. Come to think of it, though, what's the big deal? Then I can play A3. Kind of a judgment call. Bishop there. What's up? What are you planning with bishop C8? Did I have a strong move? No time. Man, I don't know about this. This is a very materialistic way for me to play this. Okay, there's no tactics. I didn't expect him to go that way. If he had played knight b6, one would have thought that would have been better. He is pretty fast and not giving me any time to think. I'm not sure about f4. I probably could have just played this straight away. Okay, now I'm winning. To be a little careful about the open king, but one feels that Pucro, like, just a little bit played too quickly. Of course, we don't have a lot of time to work with here. Still, I'm not winning easily. I am 2 pawns up, which should be winning, but this was quite a complicated game for this stage. This stage of the game. Fortunate. Stay calm and queen your passed pawn. That's the name of the game here. Alright. Not a very clean game felt like I made a lot of mistakes. Constant change. I'm white again. Nice. Knight f3. Let's mix it up. I want to play a little bit of everything with white. Lord Alamos says, what? You can play this while waiting. What is that? I think you can trust Lord Alamos' link there. It looks like a lichess link. A lot of lost time, unfortunately. Yeah, Blue Crow, what happened? Did you... I didn't, like, even count. Did you lose a lot of time due to the outage? The old Indian. Or some kind of... some such... Why did I lose classical rating points? Wasn't I like 2410 or something? Strange. I had the feeling I lost some rating points. But I haven't played any games. That's strange. Maybe not. Maybe I gained points. I thought it was like 2410. Anyway, the classical rating's I think a little low. It should be higher. So we ought to try. We try to play some rated games in between streams, but I don't have a lot of free time. So the classical games are obviously hard to get and take quite a while to play. So after doing like a 2 or 3 hour stream, I usually don't have a lot of time left over to like play in my free time longer games like this. Old Indian is a tough opening to crack, and I think this actually, if for a positional player who, you know, has a lot of experience, playing the Old Indian with black is probably not a bad idea. I think that players below master strength and even some above master strength have a hard time really formulating like a plan for white, including myself. The King's Indian is more well studied, but the Old Indian is kind of the neglected brother. It doesn't have as much theory, established theory really worked out, and it's not as frequently encountered. Saroshi, yesterday you played an 8-3 rated, drew and lost 11 points. Ah, who was that that snuck in the rated game against me? We'll have to keep an eye on that. I didn't realize that. Sneaky. I didn't even know. Alright. Thanks, Jeroen, for keeping track. Perry Ode. Ah. That's why he was trying so hard. Alright. Now I regret that. I mean, I was winning that game. But I was like, oh, alright, it's a draw. Whatever. That was a back and forth game where I was winning and drawing. And okay, so this new opponent, Perry Ode. Okay. He stole my rating points with the draw. Alright, we'll be ready for him next time. Anyway, constant change here. Constant change doesn't really... He doesn't really seem to play any theory in the opening. He just kind of makes stuff up. Which is interesting because, you know, the way the constant change plays, you know, it's not really the old guys who've been playing club chess or in the cafe for 20 years who have repertoires like constant change. But, in fact, he played like this in many games against me. He's just very fast. Kind of reminds me of like a stalwart club player, a cafe player, with a lot of experience, very fast. But I had the feeling he was a younger player, but I could be wrong. I don't know why. A6. Now, most of the players here on the younger side. But then again, most younger players are kind of interested in the theoretical aspects of the opening, so constant change is kind of a mystery. You'd expect the younger players to be more interested in getting, opening theory going on, but he seems content to just play positions quickly, practically, like a middle-aged cafe player. I don't mean that in any bad way, just I like to have fun, imagine who my opponents are. We're playing cyber chess here. So, in a lot of cases against anonymous people. It's fun to kind of imagine like who they might be, and particularly if they don't give us any information about themselves. I feel like I'm playing against a middle-aged guy who's been playing blitz chess all his life in the cafe. Maybe that's the case, or maybe our perspectives are just wrong. Here, I've got some space. Plan. There are two maneuvers with the knight. Knight d2, knight b3, or knight e1. If I take on c5, he can take with a knight. Is that something that I should be worried about? And if I maneuver the knight, he has bishop g5. It's kind of a tough call. I guess I could play something weird like knight a4, neglecting the center. Bishop e3. I mean, it seems like he's preparing to do this old Indian type of stuff with like g6 and f5. Rook e1, taking away that square from my knight. Seems strange here. What would Mihai Suba do? Oh man, this is just really the opposite of a sharp game. Better for my half-awake state to play this kind of position. The last game was kind of dynamic. I need a few games before I get kind of warmed up. The other day I got smashed by a guy who he wanted to play c3 and e3 with white. You mean like two moves or one or the other? Because I think both those moves are okay for white. I wouldn't necessarily play them together. Oh man, I don't know what to do here. Maybe g3 is even an option. I'm just at a loss for a plan. I've never actually seen anyone seriously play something like this with black. An old Indian with like c5, knight e8. It's transposing to a check Benoni, basically, a tempo down. It should by all rights be just bad for black, but I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. Bishop e3. I don't see what that even achieves. I just can't even think of a plan. I have a hard time understanding how this player is 1895 in blitz and 1900 in bullet. He's extremely fast. I mentioned this before. He also annihilated me in my simul on Sunday. I just don't understand why he's... I guess a lot of people are like that, though. Why is everybody 300 points higher in classical than in blitz? It's harder to get classical games. Who had, you know, it just takes a lot of time. You would think it would take more time to establish the classical rating and build up the classical rating. But it seems like everybody has the higher classical rating. Why do I have a higher blitz rating and a lower classical rating? Everybody else has a higher classical rating and a lower blitz rating. Maybe they're all berserking in blitz or something. I don't know. Seems like I'm the only one who's not following the standard trend. So taking on f5, if I allow him to play f4, I think he has a good game. Wow, he took with the knight. I'm not going to say this is a bad move, but it definitely surprised me because I didn't see a great plan for me. Obviously, he can play, you know, his knight to e4 or d4, I mean. This guy seems like he should be stronger. What am I going to do about the knight on d4? Just take it off? I guess there's nothing else to be done. He's extremely fast. You know, I mean, you would think like somebody who was 2100 in classical and 1900 bullet and 1900 blitz would be like having trouble with the clock. You know, that's the only reason why he's 1900 in blitz and 2100 in standard. But in fact, it's the opposite. He's actually faster than me in terms of speed of play. So it's a mystery. I can't understand why constant change blitz rating isn't higher. I feel like I'm playing a strong player. Knight f6. Well, I guess this was the plan anyway. Recirculate, keep control of e4. I feel like black is... I don't know, maybe I'm just exaggerating. Black isn't really better, but I'm not better. He just constantly has perfect control of the position. Check out the simul game he played against me. Absolute blunder by me. So I feel like I'm just playing for a draw, trying to hold on here. Maintaining the e4 square, he has a monster knight. Trying to hang with him on time. Some people are just statistically likely to do something extremely dumb and moving quickly. Perhaps those with higher classical ratings cheat on occasion. Oh god. Dude. The beacons mover guy again. That's a strange thing to obsess yourself with. Alright. Knight e4. Well, no, it's more than people cheating. I mean, there's a definite, like, trend for everybody to have the higher classical rating. Just not me. I'm just trying to hold on. No, but his play is too good to be like 1900. I don't understand. Maybe he's berserking and losing all his rating points, like King Crusher or something. Maybe it would really be like 2200, but he berserks all his blitz games or something. I know you can lose a couple hundred rating points in the marathon by berserking all your games. Your bullet rating is hundreds below my classical. Yeah, I mean, I can't really speak for bullet too much. Bishop e7. This knight is the knight is something of a problem. I think he's going to need to go. Maybe not this moment, but in some moment in the near, not so distant future. The not so distant future, in a galaxy far, far away, Mr. Knight is going to take a hike. He's too intimate with my position. We could try to undermine his center with f4. Actually, it's a little risky. Rook b8. Yeah, this like loses. Screwed that knight. It's killing me. This got all kinds of forks on d3. Yeah, I've seen enough of that. He was already setting up like queen a4, rook takes b8, rook takes b8, knight e2 check, or bishop takes e4, bishop takes e4, knight e2 check, and knight c3 with the family fork on c3 of 3 of my pieces. Let's see if he melts down here in time pressure. That's been his only problem. When he does get in time pressure, which is very rare, he tends to collapse sometimes. Getting down to 20 seconds. I don't know about that move. Rook b5 is sort of debatable. Well, am I winning a pawn here? I'm not sure this is even good to try to take this pawn. Now he saw that quickly. This guy is not an 1800 in blitz. I feel like I'm playing a stronger player. This isn't the first ops-colored bishop endgame where he tortured me as well. Alright guys, let's play with this worse wizard, 1650. I think that's probably a lost position for me if black has very good technique. Surprised that he didn't find a way to beat me there. I owe you guys an e4. I've played d4, knight f3, and c4 now. I was on the defensive that entire game. We haven't played queen c2 against the Slav in a while. Bishop g4, this is a very unusual move. One would assume that knight e5 is good, but my experience when you play this move, you have to have a good follow-up, because otherwise you're just like trading pieces when the guy plays knight to d7. So, you know, this move is often better than, not as good as it seems, shall I say. I don't know. Very rare move. I think if white plays very energetically here, maybe we can get some kind of clear advantage. A combination of queen b3 and some g4, pressure on b7, d5, maybe g4 at some moment, or exchanging on d5. But this is not the kind of move that you like ever look up. I've never played one time in my life, in hundreds of games. I don't think I've ever faced this in a tournament game, and I don't know like what I'm supposed to do. I'm surprised you don't see this move more often. Honestly, bishop g4, and then I'm sitting there thinking, as if, you know, I'm supposed to know some kind of concrete refutation of bishop g4, but I have faced it later, more often, say on move like 4. We can take the bishop. It's a closed position though. Guess we should take. It's 16 pawns on the board. Basically, normally the bishop pair doesn't mean that much, and that's the justification of this strategy by black here. b7, I've got nothing on that. Queen b3. I guess if queen b3, black can play queen c8. No. Yes, he could actually, because my bishop's unprotected. For example, like queen b3, queen c8, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. I can't play queen takes d5. Now if he takes on c4, I have simply e3. White should try to keep the tension. Maybe e4 at some point. You could have played, I could have played e4 last move. What's up, guys? g3, bishop g2, queen b3. Yeah, I mean, with the pawn on d5 is so solid. I've never really been a believer in g3 against the Slav. Though my late friend Alexander Vojkovic, he was a big Catalan expert, and he actually did like playing g3 even against the Slavs sometimes. Anand and others have played g3 against the Slavs, so I guess Blue Crow, there's some viability in that, but I feel like you're fianchettoing into this rock on d5 most of the time. But then again, if you play, for example, g3 against the Slav, most often they're like taking on c4 and trying to hold on to the pawn, trying to keep the pawn. Hitting his knight, he's got to go back, and then what? There's a case to be made here, I guess, for like pawn takes pawn, trying to open the position for the two bishops. But honestly, I think the space is more critical. It's the Caro-Kann with like c4. Caro-Kann advanced with c4. Alright guys, welcome to the stream. We're playing Blitz in classical chess. I've had some tough games. The first two were very tough already. I barely won the first game, and I was groveling for a draw in the second, where I was almost certainly lost, both on time and in position. So I'm having a tough day, kind of stressed about it. Let's try to wake up and play a little bit better. We had a Benko where I was white, and I didn't feel like I got out of the opening with the best I could get. In the second game, I got nothing in the strange old Indian, and got in time pressure, and that's the recap of what's happened here. But we're in game 3. It's a very strange Slav, which is basically a Caro-Kann now. White has a big space advantage here, which is obviously significant. Should we play the position with c takes d? We give him a good knight coming to c6. That's my objection to that concept. But if I don't take, he can take and play like knight b6 instead, stick a knight on d5, which may not be all that bad. How about a developing move? Bishop e3. Takes, knight b6. I mean, should I put my bishop on e3 in this position? It's not that easy to come up with a plan. Bishop d3 just losing a tempo. Queen b3, queen b6 does essentially nothing. Gain some space with c5 there. And I'm just wasting my time. A c5, b6. Maybe a3 like a prophylactic move. Waste his time. Alright, I'm going to decide in the next 20 seconds what to play here. Setting a time limit for yourself when you start to tank too long, probably not a bad idea. Whatever, bishop e3. Alright. This b4 square, I'm thinking he can maybe put his bishop on b4, play queen a5, do some nonsense like that. The a3 is a fairly useful prophylactic move. We can hide the bishop back on like a2 in some lines. If he goes knight b6, knight d5, he's going to have extra pressure on like c3, and I don't want to see bishop b4 in those lines. The super subtle prophylactic move after wasting like 3 minutes on it. You'd bet bishop e3. Honestly, bishop e3 is okay, but I feel like it's hard for black to make a move here. You know, the knight on b8 is stupid. The bishop on f8 is passive. We had 1 game against this opponent, no, 2 games. I don't recall. F6 is borderline crazy, but he, I think I should play F4. I know it looks like I'm overextending myself a little bit, but I really don't want my pawns to get dismantled, my center to be dismantled. Queen h4 isn't really dangerous here because I have g3 and he's not that well developed. Maybe this is too slow. I think it's got to be okay. I mean, look at his pieces. True, he can probably castle first. Even if I'm prevented from castling, I mean, I could leave my king in the center with all the space I have. It's even within the realm of consideration to take with a pawn. D takes e5. The realm of consideration. I like that. That sounds awesome. Because if I take with the f pawn, he plays bishop e7, and then I'm like really not going to be able to castle. The realm of consideration here. Let's go for it. The non-standard recapture, making sure that he can't stop me from castling along the f file. It also brings pressure to bear on d5. Think outside the box. I guess for a lot of people this would have been like automatic. I'm not going to let him stop me from castling. I'm going to take with the d pawn. For me it was like a very deep decision. I'm spending 3 minutes on... I like positions like this with a lot of like imbalance and dynamics. That's why I'm spending so much time. I mean, it's a complex position where there's a lot of strategic factors to consider. I don't know, this move isn't obvious to me. I mean, normally you're taking toward the center. Bishop d3 with the idea of queen h5 check. Well, I mean, I would do it if it wasn't for the fact that he was like playing e4 or something. I just didn't have time to play bishop d3. Bishop d3 would be great if I had one more move. Yeah. White is good. There's also queen g4. I mean, this is a huge concept. I was thinking of playing that anyway, like if black had played bishop e7 instead of f6. I was thinking about playing queen g4. Of course, now I've blocked my bishop. I don't have any kind of bishop h6. But e6 is clearly a weakness. Okay, so he plays queen b6. I was looking at bishop c5. I didn't consider this immediate queen b6. Keeping me tied down to b2. Preventing me from castling. Obviously. I don't know which way to play this. I don't want to waste the tempo with my pawn hanging on c4. So we take first and then develop like bishop d3. Maybe queen g4 right away. Yeah, I mean, this was pretty strong probably. I don't know why I didn't play queen g4 right away. Queen g4 right away, I'm not sure he even has a move against that, actually. There's got to be something for black, but seriously, why didn't I play that? I saw knight c5 defending e6, but there I have b4. Then he has like queen d4 isn't possible. Knight b3. His knight b3, I guess I saw, started to panic. Queen h5 check. I could fall way behind the development here. Well, in any case, this can't be a bad move. My king is trapped in the center. This is not clear. I don't see how to resolve my king. Why not g6 and like sacrifice your exchange on h8? I'm very uncoordinated after that. Just time pressure. I didn't know what to play. I mean, I see knight d4 coming down on me. And I wanted to get back, protect my position. There's the problem, like knight d4 in that position is a serious issue. Now my queen actually turns out to be pretty good on d1. I guess we can deal with bishop e7. It's not a major threat. I just had to protect b2 because the queen is constantly grabbing that, attacking all my pieces. Now black has a terrible position. Just to be on the safe side. Yeah, he's just in panic mode. We managed to coordinate everything, but interesting game there, Force Wizard. I think you had something. It was pretty unorthodox, but I was definitely confused. Let's leave it at that. Mickey 5-5, Etatsuar, Ghost Mine, Mule Skinner, and then Terzlol. Terzlol needs to have like 50 games or something. He does. Okay. Mickey 5-5. You like bishop c5 after retakes, you sack the knight on d5. It was a pretty confusing game, guys. I don't really know. It was just too complex to really decisively know where I was at out of the opening. Should be good for white, but I could see how you could easily go wrong there. So Mickey 5-5. Never played this guy before. Playing my first e4 for today. I feel warmed up now. That game helped me. That game helped me to feel awake. It's what have I played, like 4 games so far? We're streaming till 12:30. Our average game takes about Okay, he challenged me to 7-4, guys. I normally don't play like larger than a 3-second increment at this longer time controls, but it's okay. 7-4 is okay, not 8-4. 8-3 is our maximum. 7-4 is an unusual time control, but it's acceptable. It's a Sicilian. My own favorite variation. Feels correct to put the knight there, doesn't it? Alright, so I haven't played against the classical Sicilian myself that much, but I like to play aggressively, and I like to play the open Sicilian, and I play bishop e3. And now, if you go back in time, like 25 years ago, find me playing this position with black against Alexander Ivanov. Queen b6, I don't think is recommended here. That probably loses a vital tempo. I don't have anything fancy, just knight b5. So knight f5 is not on. We could also just castle and be like, man, your queen is on b6. This is kind of insane to play queen b6. My bishop is protected, but okay, knight b3 is okay. That would at least send him back. Knight b5 is quite interesting. That's got to be the right move. Now queen b6. Okay, so in this position, the theory is a position I played a lot with black. Actually, castles queenside, and like I believe queen c7. Does that seem right? This is discussed in detail in an old book on the Scheveningen by Kasparov's trainer Nikitin, which was published in this book was published in like 1986 or something. It's an extensive book on the Scheveningen, but they did a lot of detailed analysis on this particular variation. It's quite dodgy for black. You have to be very, very careful not to get annihilated. Alexander Ivanov played it for white, Emery Tate. It's a really sharp variation. But queen d8 now, I'm just castling, and white has a massive position, I would think. Yeah, I mean, I suppose just castles, take on d6, play e5 with advantage. I remember two distinct games I played with black, playing against Emery Tate in blitz with black, and Alexander Ivanov in a tournament game. Black has to play like perfectly or he gets totally annihilated. Queen f3 is a really good line for white. Honestly, maybe black's safest bet is to play to play e5 here on move 6. That's leading to a fairly solid position for black. Other lines like this, or knight g4, which I played myself, are kind of risky. I think e5 is hands down the safe way for black to play. There is no other really safe alternative. Well, after knight takes e6, queen takes b2, I have two pieces hanging with check, so it's kind of an awkward spot. Even if I'm taking some of his pieces, he's going to be taking mine. You have to look at it with the computer. I mean, maybe there's some way you can make that work, but I think here we have a really big advantage. just nothing for black to do, really. Just be worse. I should win a pawn and hopefully get rid of his valuable dark-squared bishop. The only alternative there, I guess, for black would be to play knight to d5, which may be worthy of consideration. The one trick, you know, is sometimes happening in this variation is like bishop g4, skewering the queen to the rook. So, but this way he's left with problems. I mean, I didn't really consider pawn takes knight. But maybe I should have. It's not that easy for black to find a move there. Pawn takes knight, queen c7. But I don't see anything. Pawn takes g7. Maybe just leave it there. And this way it's just safer. White has a massive advantage without any risk whatsoever. Now how do we finish him off? Also not so easy. Actually, this move seems fine. Okay, this is a terrible situation for black. He's down a pawn. I have attack on the king side. He doesn't have a dark squared bishop. This bishop is bad. All my pieces aren't coordinated. Evil Gwyn, welcome. Any chance you'll become a GM? How long have you been an IM? Too long. Isn't it chess to think so? I've been at IM since 1999, technically. But I took quite a time off from the game unofficially. Between like 2009 and 2015, I was playing much more poker than chess. Played very few tournaments in that 6-year period, so I won't say I gave up on becoming a GM, but you know, life put other possibilities first. Obviously, I could still win the World Senior Championship. We have that to look forward to. And on the plus side, becoming a GM is a lot easier than it used to be. I guess I should just take on h7. Just take on h7 and win another pawn. But everything's good here. This was my pre-planned response. I didn't see bishop takes h7. I mean, becoming a GM is plausible. I just need time to play in more tournaments. I wouldn't rule it out, but the odds are against me being over 39. I mean, being 39 plus. I need to gain like 100 rating points to get over my former high of 20. I was like 2470 unofficially. So I almost got there rating wise. I got very close to 2500, but the norms have never come in. Do we do it the second time? Let's just keep it simple. I don't think Mickey's listening. He would have avoided that, right? I thought queen a5 last move. Still black is hosed, but... So becoming a GM is possible, but you need a lot of time to play a lot of tournaments. My style is pretty solid. That's been a problem. That's the reason why I don't have any GM norms. Generally speaking, players like me who have a lot of draws and not that many losses tend to have a hard time making GM norms compared to someone else who takes more risks. If I played like more of a maniac, win or lose every single game, I'd have a better shot. My style's a little bit too stable to enable me to like go +5 or +6 in 11-man round robin tournaments. I tend to have a lot of draws, and for those type of players, it's harder to make norms. But Swiss system is a better chance. I should, and I never did really. I should play in more. I should have been playing in more Swiss system tournaments instead of mostly in round robins. Maybe rook d1. Keep him tied down. I was a little nervous about a5, but I have queen d4, which looks pretty strong. This could actually get a bit weird. Opposite color bishops. He should definitely play a5. Queen d4. He's got another idea here. I can take 2 pieces for a rook. Objectively, he's certainly knight takes e5 too. I totally missed that my queen was hanging. What is this guy's rating? Wow. I missed that I had rook takes d7, queen e1 check. Now I have compensation. I have compensation for the sacrificed exchange. I'm still better, I guess. But I'm not sure what he should do. Maybe he should take on h2. He did. Okay, white's clearly better, but I'm not sure I'm winning now. He's got a lot of counterplay. Open lines for his rooks. I really messed this up. I guess I'm winning, but I have to be pretty accurate technically. Flexibility goes away with age. Rock and Eagle, you can say that again, man. That's the biggest danger as you get older, is that you become very set in your ways and you lose like the ability to be creative and open-minded. Some of us lose it earlier than others. Some of us never had that ability to be creative, but I guess I'm going to play like b3 and get out of this back rank stuff. But Mickey 55, he defended credibly after just making this horrible blunder, queen b6 in the opening. I don't like f5. One thing he had here was like a fairly safe king. I don't think that's the case any longer. f5 looks downright crazy. At first glance, maybe takes there, but this leaves him with a weak e-pawn. His king is almost mated. His queen is kind of shut out. Alright, now he has some counterplay here. b3. I have another good move. Queen d1. Although then he can still play queen h6, I guess. I mean, first priority, I want to get my king into the game. This is very passive. Queen e8, why? Why such a passive square? Thought he was going to come out to h5. Okay, he's in pretty bad time pressure here. That's it. F5 was suicidal. He still had chances to make, you know, some attempt to hang on there. Etatsor, Ghostmind, Mule Skinner, and Turzlol. You got to be very, very careful as you guys get to the age of 30 and beyond. That you know, especially in a game like this where you want to improve at something. I'm trying to stay open-minded. Even now, you know, being 39, I'm still reevaluating the way I conceptualize stuff. Like, I talked a lot about bishops against knights, and not that long ago, I realized I still have a kind of large bias that I always had toward the bishop pair, being like overvaluing the bishop pair, and that's something that I'm, you know, working on in my middle age. Still changing the way I conceptualize about stuff. So I think that's a good sign. Maybe my memory will fail, but I'll continue to be creative. Also, like with openings, I think you need to keep an open mind and try new stuff. Don't become like fixated on just playing the London system every single game with white. You've got to learn to play all kinds of different positions and familiarize yourself with different stuff. G6 is a good move. It's ironic that I haven't encountered that often. Usually in this move order, you get people who play like knight c6, and I can play reverse Grunfeld. G6 is a really good way to handle this. The last time I played this position in a tournament game, I think it was against International Master Mark Esserman. We had a really sharp game in a Benoni or Benko reversed. He played like d4 and I played b4. It was a very, very nerve-wracking game that ended in a draw. I'm sure like both sides were probably lost or in trouble at some point. But normally, most people tend to keep the tension here and go into some kind of symmetrical English. Why is the bishop pair overvalued? Well, I think there are several reasons why that is. I mean, it's something very... It's like a very... I think it starts with chess writers, actually. I mean, you read a lot of articles by maybe like second tier players, say in some kind of chess magazine, constantly talking about the bishop pair being this concrete advantage, you know, and not enough people really discuss the qualifications for that. This is just one example. I'm just something that I've been consciously thinking about a lot lately. Here I could even play d4. That's an old Kira's game, like d4, knight takes c3, b takes c3, c takes d, knight takes d4. That's not for the dogmatic, you know. Not for the dogmatic to have an isolated pawn on c3. But I've known that for a long time. White has compensation for that isolated pawn on c3. Theoretically, I don't know what the best move is here. Queen b3 is possible too. d3, I've played this pawn sacrifice against somebody. I don't remember who that was against. Knight takes d5 is probably main line. Zoltan Ribley against Karpov is a very famous game from the 80s. Of course, I've played Ribley several times. Proud to say he never beat me. I never beat him. I never beat him either. D3. Ribley's like 70 and he's still 2600. Or close to it. Maybe he's dropped down to like 2550. That's how stable he was. He could be like 80 and he'd still be like 2450. Knight to c6. Yeah, so this is bishop e3, I guess. Main line. This may be the Ribley-Karpov position. I don't remember. You were just taught to castle and structure my bishop and knight on the king side. Well, you're just learning to set up a kingside fianchetto, which is a solid formation for the king. If you have this bishop here, I mean, it's more than like an attacking piece. It's also a defender of the king side. So, traditionally speaking, it's very hard to attack the fianchetto position. Sorry, guys, I'm just repositioning myself. Repositioning my body rather than my pieces. Bishop takes b2. I had a very strange sensation that I saw this recently. I like analyzed this, not really analyzed it, but this exact position I've seen not that long ago. I just don't know where. Knight d4 first. Take on c6 and rook b1. I guess that's the main line. Because we want to drive him away from a2, I guess. I'm not sure if this makes sense or not. It's probably some long variation that's been analyzed to a draw. But I don't have it committed to memory. I actually don't normally play this variation with white. I don't normally go into this position by typical order of moves. I would normally play a different order of moves. However, against this particular order of moves, I seem to have a problem. c4, bishop g7. You could also play maybe d3 here. I have found myself in this situation a couple of times. I don't think I've ever won this line in this line with white. There was this game I'm talking about, Ribley-Karpov. I think Ribley managed to win, but now it's maybe Karpov won. Actually, I can't remember who was white and who was black. Will Naka win another U.S. championship? Well, I don't think that's a long shot. Yeah, I would another one like in his life. I think that's a pretty good chance. Well, it depends on how many 2,700 players the billionaire imports. The odds get longer as more and more 2,700 slaves are imported. Queen d7, knight takes c6, bishop takes a1, queen takes a1, b takes c6, bishop h6, f6, bishop takes f8. Does that make sense? Does that seem about right? Knight takes c6, bishop takes a1, queen takes a1, b takes a6, c6, bishop h6, f6, with compensation for material. Right? Do I have any other options? Not really. He doesn't have to take, though, right? He didn't have to take here. Now, knight knight takes e7 check is possible, but then I'm just like really losing the exchange. I did omit one variation here. I don't think it's particularly relevant, like queen d4. But I mean, this looks pretty good, and we have a better structure. We are down a pawn, but his king is a little bit unstable, and you know, his pawns are obviously shot. So rook c1 followed by queen c3. Rook c1, queen d6. The problem is I have a back rank issue. So if we play rook c1, queen d6, queen c3, rook b8, and the situation becomes kind of awkward. So let's think about this. Like, these pawns aren't really going anywhere. Maybe it's better for me to not let him control the b file and try to slowly round them up. Queen c1. Doesn't look like a big deal. He's going queen d6 no matter what I do. And it's hard to lay siege. Hard to lay siege to his position. Maybe the b file. I don't know what else to do. Take the b file and hold it. Defend my e2. White is not worse, hopefully. Looks like his bishop file is stronger. White, while you only have a queen and rook to commit, target c6 instead of c5. I mean, you know, it's going to be a little awkward to target that. Maybe I can get my queen to a4. I wouldn't be surprised if this has all been played before. It just feels too forcing and logical. Probably a known position. Although this is debatable, this stage of the game. Possibly this was even included in some kind of analysis. I know like Suba has analyzed some game in this line in his book Dynamic Chess Strategy. Queen d4. I guess we can trade queens. Keep the file. Because I think taking on d4, bishop takes c6, rook b8 is probably objectively a draw. Maybe black even has a tiny advantage there. I don't know if I misevaluated descending or if that's possible. It's very possible. I think he's played perfectly. I'd be very surprised if he had like any center pawn loss. I have to say I didn't count on that. I was looking at king b6 and king a5. So this was an embarrassing situation. But I don't have any choice here. It's not over till it's over. I may not be lost. Please no like spoilers from the computer analysis. Do you like unleash the computer analysis on this position and it would just ruin the game? You cannot give any spoilers here. I'm sure that we have some mistakes. I thought you were going to play for a win with g5 there, but I calculated that king g6 would be, you know, g5, king g6, f4, takes, h4, f3, h5, king moves, h6, f2, h7, it's a draw. Well. I feel like black must have been winning somewhere. Like the first thing was, if you go back here to this position, this may be a win. You know, black plays accurately too. But though it was interesting, you know, you could also play some like king a3, king takes c5, a5. That's one possibility. And the other possibility was later on Well, maybe king b3. King takes. c4 takes. King takes. I feel like you're taking things first, so I don't know. Probably winning for black somewhere. Alright. c4. c4, c6, e4. Something different. Yeah, g5 is definitely a draw. It was before that. You know, it looks like he had some chances for sure. I thought I was lost. I'd be surprised if I wasn't, honestly. This is non-theoretical opening, obviously. Very strange. Very strange play by black. If you wanted to be really aggressive, you could play queen g4 here. Maybe black's best is something like king to f8, rather than weakening themselves with g6. So guys, we're streaming for another 45 minutes. Had some weird games today. I don't think I'm quite my 100% myself. But to be fair to Atatsuwara, I mean, he played that game perfectly until the king and pawn ending, where he probably had a win with accurate technique. Though I haven't verified it with the computer engine. I mean, it's possible it's a miraculously drawn position, but it looks like black wins one tempo. He's got to be winning there. So now queen g4. I warned you about queen g4. Although now king f8 still, it's nothing special, I guess. So various setups are okay for white here. It's an anomalous formation. I decided to play knight e2, not to obstruct my f-pawn. You could just as well play f4 if you want to. White can do whatever he wants. White has a huge space advantage, development advantage, a more comfortable position. But this way I can also take back with the knight on c3, avoiding having doubled pawns. So I guess subconsciously that's what was in my mind here. Now e5, opening it up. Maybe I changed the formation. Although everything's good. I can castle, allow knight, pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn with a dynamic position. Maybe we'll just keep it closed. I feel like black's position is almost making some sense now. I don't really like the queen on c7 here. I don't know, this belongs somewhere else probably. Back on d8 has this diagonal. Bishop g4 is interesting. Trying to induce me to play like f3. It's still massive space advantage for white. Yeah, I don't know. I would probably stay on this diagonal. This is a target to be hit by g4, knight g3. I don't want to give away any secrets here. You like the queen e7, it holds e5. Yeah, okay, I mean, this is like an idea in the Czech defense. I just don't like the position of the queen itself. Knight a6 is a good move. He has to be very careful there. I didn't want to give any secrets away, but pawn takes pawn, queen a4 check. And then I don't win a piece because I have queen takes b4, but he'll have a fork with d4 later. I end up with a better structure. But this move is obviously quite solid for black. He's getting very positional. Monkey D-Bill says bishop g4 is just losing a tempo. Well, tempos aren't that important in closed positions, and he did induce me to weaken my dark squares. So, you know, he can follow up on that plan of weakening my dark squares strategically somehow. Then maybe losing that tempo would have made sense. But that would have involved playing bishop c5 here at some point. I think that's what I'm hinting at. Knight c5. Knight c5 not so good. It's okay for black, but I thought the plan, you know, the consistent plan would have been to play bishop c5, trade off my dark squared bishop. Maybe not that easy. You know, I can do like bishop takes c5 and b4 at some point, but my dark squares are weak. So it's debatable, you know, this tempo, this question about losing a tempo. I think now black is in trouble. The space on the queen side, it's getting pretty serious. He also took away the retreat square from his knight on d7 with queen d7. So I think now Spinal Tap Chess isn't here today, but he would be a positional grinder like Spinal Tap Chess or my good friend International Master David Vigorito. These people who just love strategic strangulation and space, they would kill for a position like this. Spinal Tap Chess, for example, he would love this for white. Space on the queen side. This is murder. Black has lost control over the situation. Now white has an immense advantage. Also, bishop a4 is going to be an issue. It may be an issue. Yeah, but now it does look like bishop g4. You have to admit that looks ridiculous now. Bishop g4, bishop h5. He sacked a piece here without sufficient compensation. The only hope would be to play d5, but I have everything on d5 and another on b3. No, it's better to put your knight on a6 and pray, I guess. Well, bishop f7 is at least consistent. He's gonna fight for the d5 square. He's down a piece here. So, Gladeson P, what's up, man? Don't get to see you at this stream very often. From Brazil. Brazilians are just waking up, I guess. It's pretty early, isn't it? You normally don't see the Brazilians till the very end of my stream at the earliest. It was like playing poker online. The Brazilian players always started showing up in the middle of the day, morning their time. What are you, about 5 hours? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Just had to make sure. I thought I had enough on it, but sometimes I do miscount. But he does have me in a pin there. What What about... It's not protected. Maybe you can play like castles queenside or rook d8. Yeah, it's not really important. I mean, I could simply take, right? 4 against 3, but we have bishop a4. So that wins a queen for a piece or two. He might be able to get 2 pieces for the queen with d4. This way is not the better way to do it. Although he may prolong the game. He has bishop b3 there. So not today for Ghost Mind. Almost made it work. I think that bishop c5 was the right idea, trading your dark squared bishop, trying to take advantage of the dark squares, where I'm a little bit weak after f3. I'll give you something back, because I'm a generous guy. So we have some threats on the king side with queen g5 and this. Guys, don't forget to check out my YouTube videos, video chess training on YouTube. I have promised I'm going to do and finish my video on the simul I did on Sunday. 3 games I've selected from that, which I'm analyzing and going to put up on the YouTube channel. This is really tedious. He's not giving up. I hate when they don't give up. But g7 is going to fall. Or else he's just going to have to trade off rooks, which is going to leave him with another problem. So Gleitson, welcome. Barry Steve is Ghostmind viewer. I'm not sure if he actually views the stream or not. I guess so. He did. He at least once he did. Involve himself in the chat here. But he doesn't really chat a lot. He plays some crazy openings. This was one of those. But he got a reasonable position, it seemed like. You know, if we go back here, knight a6 castles, bishop c5 would have been okay for black. I guess I would have played probably queen d2. I think white has a tiny space advantage, but this position is not that great for white. It's a slight advantage. I'm not really that happy with the way I played it. How long are you going to play today? Gilgamesh. I'd like to play you if possible. Are you in the... Yeah, Gilgamesh is challenging. I don't know, Gilgamesh. You're probably not going to make it. Mule Skinner, Vasilikos, and Terzl are definitely going to play today. I can't guarantee anybody beyond that because I'm only streaming for another 45 minutes. Alright, so I guarantee at least 3 more games. It depends. If a couple of games are really fast, we might get to 5 games. I'll try to do my best. I'll do my best to take these guys out quickly for you. It's not going to be easy here. We did analyze this variation that I played with Mule Skinner the other day. Apparently, this line he's playing is a known variation. What we're probably going to see here again. Oh, I played a bad move order, but he let me get away with it. I have to go c3 there. See, I'm rushing, and I'm supposed to play c3 first, but he was kind enough to let me transpose. This is not a good move. Knight df3. I have to play c3 first. But I'm trying to get the extra games in, so we can play a little bit faster. I still don't think I'm going to get to 5 games. I think 4 would be the maximum, because the typical game takes like 10 or 15 minutes at least. No, he's changing up on me. He played queen b6 now. This is probably the more traditional move. Yesterday he played c takes d, and a5, which is a known line. I did research it, and it's not that common, but there's some strong players who have played that for black. So queen b6 is, as far as I recall, I think a3 is the move here. But I don't really see why a3. Is a3 essential? The thing is, like, if I do h4, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, bishop b4, check. I can't play bishop d2 because of knight takes d4. So the problem is that white just doesn't have that many moves here. You know, you could play some lame move like queen b3. That's not in the spirit of things. We want to try to checkmate black, keeping the pieces on the board. So h4, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, bishop b4 check, king f2. And I don't know if it was against Muleskinner or Kyrgios or somebody. I got absolutely massacred by a piece sacrifice at some point, where black did like knight takes e5. Bishop b4 check, king f2, f6, king g3, f takes e, f takes e. Yeah, isn't that where I got crushed? There was a game where I got in absolutely massive trouble against Kyrgios, I think. That's all the known sacrifice that once Lebojevic walked into. Like h4, pawn takes pawn, bishop b4 check, king f2, f6, king g3. Is that? Yeah, king g3, f takes e, and then black does some kind of piece sacrifice or something. So I think this is a move, but I hate weakening my queen side. If a3, a5, I'm pretty sure I've seen that before. I just don't like weakening my queen side. This is black's strong side of the board. And we saw a plan yesterday from Kyrgios, or Muleskinner, sorry, who played immediately CD, A5 with the idea of like A4. I crushed him, but something went wrong somewhere. I mean, this has been played by some strong players with black. I mean, I guess you could take with a knight here, but it doesn't look very inspiring. The classic idea is to hide the king on g3 in this variation. I'm not out of my mind or anything. I mean, this is all pretty part and parcel. Great memory for chess games. Every game you play, you're referencing a famous game. Tersdal, thanks for changing your challenge to casual. Wow, thank you, Jeroen, for picking that up, but I wouldn't have noticed. Yesterday we lost a lot of points to a draw. One of you sneaky players. I prefer not to play rated games because I am basically giving out ideas on my time, which benefits my opponent in a rated contest. So if you see me online and you guys want to play, I mean, don't be afraid to challenge me. Okay, f6 right away. Again, we have to think about a3, although it does weaken my position. I have played king f2 in similar positions, but here it's not possible. Why have I not had this position before here? what is it about this move order today? So king f2 is too late now. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. Knight takes, knight takes, knight takes, and I'm pinned. Strange. You know, one would think that I've already played this position before with Muleskinner, but how did he trick me into not being able to do like king f2, king g3? a3. a3, bishop e7. Bishop d3, can I play that? Bishop e7, bishop d3. Knight takes d4. That's never gonna work. Or is it? It is. Right. So we'll risk slightly weakening the queen side here with a3. Actually, I mean, it would have been possible to play bishop d4 straight away, but then he has other counterplay with like knight to b4. So we need to take that away. It's very possible this has been played in Grandmaster or Master practice. Every time I saw you online and challenged you, you never accepted or declined my challenge. DST, I think you're talking about like maximum 1 or 2 times every time is at least 1 or 2 times, which is a lot, you know. I don't guarantee that I'm going to be able to accept your challenge like in that moment when you challenge me. I'm just saying there's a chance. Usually if I'm on here, there's a good chance I'm doing something else. People are like complaining that I'm not finishing my video, and then they're like complaining that I'm not accepting their challenges when I'm doing my video. So it's like, it's hard to like make everybody happy, DST, especially you. Bishop e7 is what we expected. Now bishop d3. You can't make all the people happy all the time. But you can ask, I mean, I can give you references if you want evidence that I've accepted people's challenges. I can send you a list of references. Bishop d3, but probably if you challenge me to bullet chess, it wouldn't be accepted under any circumstances. Bishop to d3 is the move. Another possibility for black there would have been to play a5. Black is obviously restricted here in terms of space, so he doesn't have as many choices in terms of plans that maybe white does. But I also have a lot of weaknesses I've created with all these pawn moves, so I have to be very, very careful about like how I organize myself. It's like Muleskinner blundered. Although it could be a piece sacrifice, I don't think so. He forgot about this. That's the point. I mean, why I can do bishop d3 in that position. You play f6 and you weaken a g6 square. I mean, usually you're looking for checks on b5. And here he overlooked the check on g6. So, a forgivable mistake. Vasila Kos. Good luck, man. We've never played before. Incoming queen trap. Well, yeah, it's... Would you call that a queen trap? That's an interesting way of describing it. Um, that was a short game. It could have been another 15 minutes, objectively. So we were fortunate there. I'm very curious to look that up, though. I would be surprised if that wasn't a position that's been played. If you guys have ChessBase or some kind of professional chess database, of course, there are many more games than like using the lichess, opening whatever. What did they call it? The opening encyclopedia or opening. What is it called again? It doesn't matter what it's called, right? We understand what I'm talking about. Vasilikos plays bishop b2. I had a game like this yesterday. Nobody plays knight to b3. Like, it's very strange. Since like the 40s, I mean, this has been like a main line, the classical dragon. But modern internet players, they don't know to play knight to b3, and you're no exception. And it's actually become kind of like a trend. All the main lines involve knight to b3. Nobody plays that. Everybody just leaves their knight on d4. But on the plus side, if you are playing a higher rated player, allowing an exchange of pieces probably isn't a big deal. So Constant Change has played me, this one player who I played earlier in the stream, a lot of games where he just leaves his knight on d4. You're supposed to play knight to b3 in the classical variation. But again, nobody here seems to know that. If you play tournament players, they're going to play theory with knight to b3 in most cases. This is a variation, but it's fairly rare. I mean, if you look this position up in, again, like a professional chess database, you will find some masters and maybe even the stray grandmaster who's played this with white with a knight on d4, but it's totally like non-standard. So yesterday I had a game, exact same position, where I regretted the way I played it. I played like knight takes d4 at some point, and he's dropping a piece here. That's one good reason not to put your knight on d4. Not to leave your knight on d4. But more importantly, when you have a space advantage, you want to avoid exchanges of pieces. That's why knight b3. The other thing is that you control d5, not allowing black to free himself with d5. But yesterday we saw something like a3, which is really lame, from white. And so I just pick up a piece. I can't stress it enough, though. If you guys want to play the classical variation of the dragon, bishop e2, g6, you should play knight to b3 and not allow exchanges. Particularly with the bishop on d7, it makes a lot of sense. Bishop on d7 kind of boxed in by my knight on c6. This is also possible in the Scheveningen or Scheveningen variation of the Sicilian. These pieces sort of get in each other's way. So going to b3 with a knight leaves my cramped position, my position cramped. When I have all the pieces on the board, I can't free my position. When I'm black and I have less space, I want to trade pieces, and that's why knight b3 is a good idea. So bishop takes c3 maybe, undermining e4. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, I rush. I understand, it's a piece in the center of the board, and people don't want to move it away from there. So I think it's kind of an advanced positional concept, let's say, moving the knight to b3. And if you haven't read like opening manuals or anything, I guess it's not that easy to find that move over the board. What's the best here? Doesn't matter which way I take, I guess. I didn't want to get skewered with my rook on the diagonal. Even there I have e6 though, with the winning position. So we have time for 2 more games. I don't think Gilgamesh is going to make it unless somebody loses quickly. But our friend Glites in Literatura, who can attest to me playing games against him off stream, if you need any references, will probably get to play after all. That may be it, Gilgamesh. You almost made it. The other guys are not going to make it today. We'll be back tomorrow with Weird Wednesday. You don't play on ICC anymore. I do not play on ICC anymore. I don't play there. I mean, you might occasionally catch me there, but not really for playing. I've had my fallings out with ICC, and probably done with them. I was a faithful member of the Internet Chess Club for a very long time, but oh, I missed 92. Got a little distracted. Now he has a check, but it's not there anymore. So we're up a rook. Internet Chess Club's fading away. I mean, I don't necessarily wish them death, but I'm just, noticing that it looks like it's kind of dying. But lichess is a very cool. I like the software. It's obviously much easier playing on the browser, and I like the principle behind lichess, that it's free. It's not about making a profit for some private people, and it's just a really clean, really good piece of should we call it software? Anyway, it's just a really clean site, and it's just really fun to play here. A lot of tournaments, lots of players. It's growing. There's more and more title players. Thank you for the game, Vasilikos. Don't forget about knight to b3. Turzlol, we've got 2 more games. That's all I can guarantee, guys. So this is the only place where I play. E4, D5. Though I am working with a lot of students, I don't have that much time to play like extracurricular blitz. DST, you want references? You can ask our friend Glites in Literatura. I played quite a few games with him off stream, just the other day, in fact. You got to catch me at the right time. I think the problem is DST, or time zone in Australia, maybe. Kind of. Maybe I'm better for the Brazilian time zone. I have more in common with the Brazilian time zone than the Australian time zone. I think that's the issue. So what do we do here? Turzlol playing one of my old favorites, knight f6 against me. Well, there are a lot of good moves. I won't even begin to go into it. I would recommend this opening in fast chess, or Turzlol. How strong is this player? 2209 in blitz. I saw the 1500 and I was like, oh, okay. The Icelandic Gambit. This isn't the Icelandic Gambit. This is the Portuguese Gambit, right? I'm not up on that. So we're going to just avoid any kind of controversy here and play bishop e2. This is a strong player who I assume, he's 2200 in blitz. I assume knows the theory of like this gambit, which is totally something that I'm not up to date on. I have played with black a lot of knight f6, but I didn't play that gambit myself. I think I might have had a game once in this line somewhere. I don't remember under what circumstances. Maybe I did play it once with black. I guess I might have played it once with black long, long ago. Bishop g4. I don't remember with black in which circumstances. I think my opponent played bishop e2 though. Like me here. It's you know, non-confrontational type of thing. E6. So it seems like white has a little advantage, and you can just kind of play the position. We're not trying to refute black's opening or anything like that. Slav type position. Bishop e7 is solid. The Slav structure, it's hard for white to get an advantage. But I didn't really see another option. I mean, other than c4, what am I going to do? I mean, knight to c3 here. Actually, if black plays queen d8, he's got trouble with queen b5 check. So maybe knight c3 was interesting. He'd have to play some kind of awkward move like queen a5 or queen h5. I guess queen a5 is okay, though. If you're playing the Scandinavian anyway. Queen a5 followed by c6. Probably black is okay. Music Dan, thanks for the host. Play aggressive so that Gilgamesh can play. Well, we got to get through Glides and Literatura too, and we're down to 15 minutes. So it's going to be close. I tried to play aggressive, but I didn't want to risk that bizarre gambit theory. And we could go with d5 here. That's aggressive. Sacking a pawn. That's, by the way, like the secret to crushing the Scandinavian. If you can get in d5, guess you're golden. Maybe we found magic resource. Black may have played a little bit too liberally. Perhaps it was a moment for queen d8. The ever popular queen d8, which we see so much nowadays in the regular Scandinavian. I don't really see the attraction to that. You know, I know some guy wrote a book about it, or maybe several. What's exciting about putting a queen back on d8 in the Scandinavian? Yeah, this may be a bluff by me. But in any case, we do have... Why am I saying this is a bluff, actually? Oh yeah, I missed something. Or did I? And this is pretty bizarre. Man. Yeah, I miscalculated. It's still got to be a good pawn sacrifice. I was counting on queen b5 check, but I just realized that he has knight to d7. And there's no g4 because of check. So we tried to put him away, but no can do. Now we just have to play it like a pure... It's the Mora Gambit. We've sacrificed a pawn for positional compensation. But white definitely has compensation here. The problem is that I probably don't have more than enough. Probably I have enough, but not more than enough to justify sacrificing a pawn. Unfortunately, this was not the plan. Thinking about crazy things. I was looking at bishop g5, but I just don't see how that's going to work. So I don't think we're going to get to Gilgamesh. I mean, it looks like we're going to probably play one more game after this. Segging Gilgamesh. I tried to play as fast as I could, but maybe it wasn't enough. Bishop g5. This is an idea. This is an idea. The only move that like temporarily prevents him from castling. Thank you for imparting your wisdom today, Mr. Paschall. A friendly reminder that we also store antique chess sets. I don't think I have any truly antique chess sets. Maybe. Not any valuable ones, anyway. What can we do? Rook c1. It's a crazy concept. Nothing special, or is it good? Rook c1, bishop takes g5. It seems better just to take. This game was just a major disappointment. Was this the player who tried to play me rated? Or was that somebody else? Probably this guy, right? I probably lose this game if it's rated. I feel like I should have enough compensation to draw. So I need to just set my goals not too high here. You know, not going to try to like win with, you know, a position that I really objectively don't have anything in. There are some factors here that are concerning. Maybe I should consider trading queens. But then he's got this knight on d5. It's just impossible to get rid of. We have some compensation. I don't know that it's enough or not. But I was very confident a short while ago. I've lost my confidence in this position. I definitely made a major miscalculation though. When I played d5, I didn't see at c takes d5, c takes d5, knight takes d5, you know, queen b5 check, knight d7. That sort of destroyed the whole thing. So that was my mistake. And now I'm left in this position where I have very little compensation, a little bit of compensation, but it's not really enough. So we're just trying to hold on, I guess, down a pawn. I'm an optimist, as you can see. But I'm thankful it's not a rated game. So I would be very much in danger of losing all my precious rating points. Not really. If I wanted to increase my standard rating, I could probably do it, but we don't have too much time for those extracurricular rated games I was talking about. Chef Master. Chef Master hasn't been here in a while. Good to see you guys. Guys, please check out the streams that I put up on YouTube, and we will finish the review of several games from the Sunday simul. Every simul I do on Sunday at 6:30 p.m., which is involving 20 to 25 boards. And this week I was pretty successful. But I don't do a review where I'm just like highlighting my best, most crushing wins. I like to choose games where people beat me, or at least like played a really interesting game. Alright, well, it's best not to get into too bad of time pressure here, perhaps. Rook c7, knight d5. Rook takes b7. We get our pawn back in that line. There is a problem. Four spectators. Why do I have 4 spectators? Because you guys are from the stream. The unrated games, unfortunately, are never on lichess TV. That would be one advantage of playing rated games, I guess. We get more viewership from the lichess TV feature. This is the problem. This is what I was thinking about for like 2 minutes. You know, this is why I spent so long on the previous position. So I can play queen f1, it looks like, probably at the very... If I can't find a better move, queen f1 might be okay. We would like to play something more active, but there are various tactical problems here. So queen e5, queen g4. Probably like resigns. Gotta keep g2 protected. Queen a5. That was a surprising move. Just if I got the knight away from me, I mean, I'm probably okay now. But I was in a lot of danger with the knight on f4. You know, white is objectively okay here. Still, the knight is strong on d5, but it's not like mating me. He might have had something there stronger than queen a5. Although I didn't see a forced win. This appears fairly good for black. Just kind of groveling. Hanging on by my teeth. Of course, if his true strength is like 2200 blitz, 1900 bullet, I should be okay. Objectively, it's equal. This A pawn, it looks like it could become a weakness. On the other hand, it's very hard to get rid of it, and the knight on d5 is very strong. So I think this position is objectively equal. I'm going to keep my knight on d4. Alright, he accepted a draw. I think the position is equal. And I want to get to this game with Lichess and Literatura because I did promise one more game. And we're technically out of time, but I'm a man of my word. And we're going to play one more. So, that game I was never better. And I was groveling for a draw. And even in the final position, I guess it's drawn, but maybe it's a little easier for black to play. But with his knight on f4, I was gravely in danger last game. So here we go again with bishop g4. Bishop g4 much more, I think, justified here. Then on move 3, we had an earlier game with bishop g4. But after I wasted time with queen c2, this is, I think, more apropos. I've taken defense away from the d4 pawn, so that's one benefit. You know, my d4 pawn could be attacked by the queen on d8. This isn't a really deeply analyzed variation, but I think the jury's out on this move. When I've looked at this, I've seen different ideas. Knight d2, I guess, is an e3 is playable, but it's quite passive. Basically like a Trompowsky with colors reversed. I don't think... I'd like to get my bishop outside the pawn chain here, actually. I wonder if that doesn't make some sense. Let's do that, huh? Get the bishop outside the pawn chain. The only thing about it in the Slav that bothers me is that sometimes the knight can come to d5 and hit this bishop on f4. I don't see any way to really concretely do that here for black. So I avoid having the bishop just trapped in my position on c1. But I am delaying my kingside development quite a bit, so I doubt this has been played too much before. It does give me the ability to recapture with the bishop on e5. And now we can just develop. By the way, guys, I don't stand by this really like being a great variation. Queen c2 against the Slav. It's just kind of a way to avoid main lines, but it's not really very dangerous, and I think it's basically harmless. As long as black kind of knows a little bit of what to do. Chef Master says, "Play me." Chef Master, you're a little bit late. We're already over time, and I'm sorry for the guy who's like next in line. Gilgamesh really wanted to play, and all the games took too long. So tomorrow is Weird Wednesday. We're playing unusual openings, and gambits and fun stuff. So stay tuned for that tomorrow, 10 a.m. CET. I'd like to thank those of you who donated last year via PayPal and the few of you who have already donated in 2017. I really appreciate it. And if you guys can afford to make a donation to support the stream and support my YouTube efforts, then much appreciated. Bishop e7, solid move. So Bishop d3, I suppose. Don't really have a lot of other options. I don't like exchanging on d5 if I don't have to. I don't mind it maybe one move later, once my king is ready to get out of here with castles. I was a little bit worried about pawn takes pawn, knight takes d5, knight takes d5, pawn takes d5, bishop d3, and then he has a check on b4, check on a5. My king is stuck in the center, so if I do want to resolve the center with c takes d, I think I have to do it like only when I'm ready to castle. That was a mouthful, but you guys understand what I'm talking about. Hopefully you understand. White doesn't really have any serious advantage here, I would think. Black can play bishop g6. That goes back to this theme that I've talked a lot about in the last couple months. Basically, barring some kind of piece sacrifice on g6. Bishops versus knights in closed positions. The whole basis of black like playing bishop g4, get it outside the pawn chain, don't have any bad pieces. You see it a lot in the Caro-Kann, Slav. Top players like Caruana, Nakamura, they'll play bishop g4 and trade that piece for a knight. Many instances. Of course, you want to try to induce the other player to maybe weaken their king side with something like h3, g4. That would be ideal. If I was to weaken my king side, black could try to exploit that later on. Now here, I would imagine that Gleitzen Literatura took some time to think about this, and basically, you know, he's thinking about what happens if pawn takes knight. Black has to play knight d7, and then I can snap the pawn on h7. That's actually quite tactical. We could look at d takes e, knight d7, bishop takes h7, g6, and now I have the crazy move g4. I'm totally unconvinced by this. I think I have to take with the bishop. That's not good. It wrecks my pawn structure. He has a number of options there. No, I must take with the bishop. My bishop would be kind of crap on f4 after d takes e as well. This position is virtually equal, despite white having a tiny space advantage. He elects to give up his strong point on d5. Also viable is bishop g6. Perfectly okay for black. This move I don't like, unless he has a really good reason for playing it. Radically weakening him along the c-file, playing on what you could say is his, I don't know, I mean, it seems like my stronger side, the queen side here, with the c-file. This is a strange move. Why not just, okay, he didn't want to castle. No, why not just castle? Or bishop g6. b5 is a strange move. Bishop d3. Nothing fancy. Now white, I think, has an advantage. I mean, there's no reason to create a target for black to have to worry about on c6. Absolutely unnecessary weakening of the position. And if you don't do that, I don't think I have much of anything here. Bishop g6 or castles. It's a tiny, tiny microscopic advantage for white because I theoretically have a stronger pawn in the center with d4. But very hard to do anything with it. You know, it would be hard for me to prove an advantage there. Now he's dropping a pawn. Bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, bishop takes h7 check, with check, and then bring the bishop back to e4 probably. So he got flustered. Do I want to go back to e4 or do I want to go back to a different location like d3? To leave the knight free to go to e4 perhaps. This is a very common maneuver with backward pawn on c6, heading for c5. I'd like to thank everybody for joining me. We'll be back tomorrow for Weird Wednesday and playing unusual openings. Stuff I don't normally play, gambits and so forth. The King's Gambit, the Bird's opening, and the Bird opening. Or Birds, Henry Bird. Miscalculation. We can snap another pawn here. Might have a tiny bit of counterplay. I have queen c3. If queen a5 check, queen c3, taking away my knight's only good square. Then something like queen b6. It's pretty awkward to put the queen on c3. Knight takes b5, queen a5 check, knight c3, queen g5. And then I have moves. So we will greedily take this pawn. We have a lot of moves. I mean, this is totally winning for white. But our king is still in the center, so I wouldn't resign if I were black in this position with the white king still in the center. Just because you're down 2 pawns is no reason to give up. Until white resolves the safety of his king and finds a way to make concrete progress. Is this a sideline in London, says Phantom Bra? Well, it's not really. I don't know if we're talking about this game. It's a Slav with queen c2, which is just a quiet way of avoiding theory. Because I didn't play a lot of chess in the last 6 years. The Slav is black's most popular opening against d4. And there's just tons and tons of theoretical information out there. So we have a bishop e4, f4. The one thing I don't want to do is like castles. Even that might be possible. Bishop f3, g3, and it gets a little weird, but even that's good. Let's just go into the scariest possible line. Nothing he can do. We have such immense control of e4. Into the mouth of the lion. We did resolve our king safety issue. We are up 2 nuggets. And now can't force a trade of queens. I would like to force a trade of queens, but let's just put our queen in the center. This is kind of debatable because the knight wants that square. You should never trade queens. Good decision. Good decision, sir. He does have a bit of counterplay. I thought maybe c5. Okay, I understand. I see what you're up to. It's a little risky for me, actually. I shouldn't have done this. I mean, their g5 looks like he had realistic compensation. Not compensation, but he had some stuff. It was unnecessary for me to give him any counterplay. And that was a little sloppy as we get here down to the end. So my pawn is hanging. Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh no. Now it's interesting. Now he's got a piece for 3 pawns. And no time. 4 pawns. Underestimated my opponent. He gave up on him before it was. Yeah, and queen e5 here. That's a lot of pawns, man. He missed queen f3. I had king h3, but this is really just a slop game. Sorry for that, people. We got a little bit out of control. Good increment play by Glitz and Literatura, by the way. Most of our opponents aren't very handy with the increment, but some of them know what they're doing. This is one of those. This is just too much. Too much pawnage. That's a good D. What? Okay, he freaked out. I thought he would take on d5. That was a bad move by me. I can still screw this up. I just keep missing like move after move. It's unbelievable. How can I miss that many moves? He just like never ever gives up. I had written you off long ago. I need this square for my king. Okay, this has to be winning now. God. What awful technique I displayed in this game. Still not easy to mate him with my king on this stupid square on d8. What about rook a8? No threat. I have no threat here. Alright, thank you for the game, guys. Was really, really bad technique, the last one. Sorry about that. We got a little over time, and I get to martini time, that third hour, it's a little too much for me. That's why I keep the stream to 2.5 hours. Games like this, it got a little bit too long for me. So we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. CET. I'll get some rest and get working on the YouTube. So I will see you guys later. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in, and Jeroen particularly for moderating here on the stream. So we will see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.